Episode number 1, the top 11 things you need to know when getting started with Airbnb. Tip number 1, learn and understand your market. And what I mean by that is get an understanding of why people would want to visit your city and the types of people that want to come visit. For example, my Airbnb is in San Diego and it's really close to the beach. So most people typically like to come here in the summer, and when they're coming here, they're coming for a relaxing vacation. They want to hang out at the water, go to the bars nearby. So, I specifically cater my Airbnb to those people, that demographic. So when you understand the type of people that are coming to visit your city and the reasons why, you'll be able to better accommodate them and set up your place so that you're fulfilling that imagery and that lifestyle that they're looking to have when they come visit. Tip number 2, and this is an important one: learn the rules and regulations of your city and or town. As an example, about 2 hours north of here in a city called Big Bear, which is really popular during ski season, they have a ton of rules, way more than down here in San Diego. Their rules are tied to how many cars you can park in your driveway, how many people are allowed to stay based on the number of square feet that you have. And those aren't rules that I have or we have here specifically in San Diego, but they exist up there. So your city may be different. So be sure to research and understand all the rules and requirements that could apply to you based off of where you live. So you don't want to break any rules. You don't want to get in trouble. You don't want to get fined, which eventually is going to cause you to lose money. So be sure to really investigate and really learn what's important when it comes to rules and laws in your town when you're doing short-term rentals. Tip number 3, never, and I mean never, discriminate. Airbnb takes this very seriously, and so should you. As you probably know, they've gotten hammered a lot over the last several years by hosts discriminating against who books their place. So definitely don't do that. One, it's just not good for the platform, and it's not good for you. It's not good for your pocketbooks. I've had people from all over the world come and visit my place. I've had people from Asia, from Europe, and from every other state here in the U.S. as well. I try to be very inclusive, and I recommend that you do the same. Your pocketbooks will thank you for it. Tip number 4, have proper home insurance. This is extremely important. I've heard a lot of horror stories about people thinking that just because there's an insurance policy with Airbnb that they'd be covered. Honestly, I wouldn't trust that. You want to protect yourself. So before you get started with Airbnb and before you start listing your place as a rental, as a short-term rental, call your insurance company. Let them know what you're going to do, and make sure you get the proper coverage to protect you in case something happens. Because the last thing you want to do is, be left on the short end of the stick if something bad happens. So protect yourself and make sure you can call your insurance company and let them know what you're doing. Tip number 5. So keep every and all receipts that you get when you buy anything for your place. For various reasons. One, in case a guest damages something, you have proof of how much it costs so that you can try to seek reimbursement for that. And 2, you want to save those for tax purposes. You're running a business now, so keeping your receipts and keeping a log of all your expenses is very beneficial for tax reasons. One, you can try to claim some of that back, or reduce your taxes based off of the stuff that you buy as an investment for your place. So definitely keep all of your receipts, keep them handy. You'll definitely need them, and it'll definitely benefit you in the long term. Tip number 6, it's going to take a very long time to get your listing to start showing results. So don't get flustered. When I started a couple of years back, it was right around January, and I didn't start getting momentum until about March onwards. So for the first couple months, I was getting worried that I wasn't doing things right. I learned that by adjusting my price, sometimes I had to lower my price a little bit at the beginning because I didn't have any reviews for people to trust my listing. So in order to attract more people, I dropped my price a little bit. But the point here is that it takes time to grow a presence and to grow a listing. The more reviews you have, the more likely you are to get bookings. So, be patient. It takes time. Make the adjustments as necessary, and we'll kind of go through all that in the episodes and series to go. But be mindful that don't get flustered or don't get worried that, for the first couple months or so, you're not really getting the type of money that you thought you would. It takes time. And, as I noticed from my own experiences, that by the third month in, I was actually starting to make some really good money. So be wary of that, and don't get too worried about it, because it will improve. Tip number 7. Keep the length of stay someone can stay in your unit for less than 28 days. And the reason being is that you don't want them to establish residency. And with residency, essentially that means is that a person staying in your place is allowed certain protections they otherwise wouldn't get. For example, someone that's staying there for a month or more is considered a long-term tenant, and they get eviction protections. There's certain rules that you as a landlord would have to abide by if there wasn't any issues. For example, they don't pay or something like that. So I definitely recommend, for your own sake, to don't let anyone stay in your rental for more than 28 days. The less the better. For example, I don't let people stay longer than 21 days. So, think about how you want to do that, but protect yourself at the end. Tip number 8, Airbnb may not always have your back. And I think it's important to understand, if there's an issue or a confrontation between you and a guest, they may not always side with you. They may side with the guest. And there's really, at this point, no rhyme or reason that I can tell as to, who they'll side with. But, if there is an issue, just try to resolve it as quickly as possible and move on. Sometimes Airbnb may help you and sometimes they won't. But it's good to know that out front, so that if that does become an issue, you're not blindsided by it. Tip number 9, you can't please everyone, so don't try. In this business, you're going to run into a complainer every now and then. Someone that no matter what you do, you just can't please. And it's just the nature of the beast. There are people out there like that in the world, and no matter what you do, they just won't be happy. But don't let it discourage you. Just understand that this does happen, and learn from the situation and just move forward. You'll be better in the end for it. Tip number 10: take the reviews you get very seriously, especially the constructive ones. Those reviews are going to give you a lot of feedback about how you can be a better host. Pay attention to them. They're very important. For example, I had a situation where when I was first starting out, I had quite a few people comment about a lack of hooks in the bathroom. And I didn't notice that at first, but after seeing a lot of those reviews, I thought, maybe I should start adding some more hooks in the bathroom so people can hang their towels. And the minute I did that, I never got that type of comment again. So you can learn a lot, and it can make you a better Airbnb host. So when you get reviews, be sure to listen to them and take them seriously, because they'll just make you a better host in the long term. And finally, tip number 11: Airbnb hosting is a lot of work. One thing I cannot stand is people saying that, Airbnb hosting, it's passive income, you barely have to do anything and you can make so much money. It's BS, quite frankly. While you can make a lot of money, it does require a lot of work if you want to be successful. I didn't get over 100 5-star reviews for being a lackluster host or being very passive. If you want to be successful, you have to put in the work, just like with any type of business that you're running. The more effort and the more time you put, the better you'll be. So if you're a very hands-off person, this probably isn't for you. But if you're very methodical, you're very hands-on, and how you run things are very important to you, Airbnb hosting should be right up your alley. So that concludes episode 1. I hope you learned a lot. So be sure to like and subscribe so that you can get notified when the other 14 episodes get loaded. Also, be sure to comment. Let me know what you guys think. Were there any questions that you have? If so, please make sure you write them in the comments, and I'll be sure to respond. Because at the end of the day, this is about helping you be successful with Airbnb hosting.